One of the things that you need to understand in order to really be able to compliment and flatter your subject is how your camera sees. And there are a lot of considerations with this. So, first of all, something that I want you to repeat in your head over and over again. Whatever is closest to the camera appears largest. Okay? So how this should translate when photographing your subject is whatever you would like to emphasize and enhance, you want to bring closer to your camera. Anything you want to reduce or minimize, you push away from your camera. So keep that in mind. For example, with a woman, if you want to slenderize her, what you would do is you want to emphasize her chest and her face. So you would have her lean toward the camera, and you would put the weight of her hips away. And what that will do is it will emphasize her face and it will minimize her form. So keep that in mind. Now, what I want you to know as well is that this is not the solution for every person. There's going to be different solutions based on people's features. So for example, in many portraits you may have learned that typically you want to shoot from a higher angle. Now the reason that we've been told this is when the camera is higher up and you have to look up towards the camera, it really emphasizes the eyes and minimizes the form. Looks pretty good. The problem that you run into is if your subject say perhaps has a pronounced forehead. Well, if you do this, a higher angle and the subject leaning towards the camera, their forehead will get larger. So while often we're at a higher angle, hips away, leaning towards the camera, that's not always a solution. It depends on your subject's features. What we're going to do now is we're going to discuss how lenses affect a portrait. Now, if you're an event photographer or a nature photographer, you might know something a little bit about compression. So for example, if you have a subject standing in front of a forest and you use a wide lens, they look far away from that forest. But if you go ahead and grab a longer focal length, like 200 or 300, and you shoot at that focal length, it compresses the scene. They look closer to that background. Well, compression still makes a huge effect on portraits, especially close-up shots. So for example, one of the things I would recommend, and this is from my own experience, is that for a close-up portrait headshot, I would not shoot anything wider than 70 millimeters. Right now I'm talking about shooting a full-frame camera. I'm shooting with a Canon 5D Mark III. So if it's a really tight shot, 70 millimeters, maybe a mid-length shot, it's okay to go to 50. But headshots, if you shoot comparing a 35 millimeter to say 200, the difference is night and day. When you shoot a wider lens for a close-up shot, what it does is it makes their face look wider and distorted. It makes their features look more pronounced. So for example, if you have somebody with a more pronounced nose and you use a wider lens closer to their face to fill the frame, it will in fact make their nose look longer or their chin look longer or someone's forehead look larger. So if somebody has more pronounced features, what you're better off doing is backing up and zooming in with a longer focal length. That longer focal length compresses the features on their face and makes them look shorter.